Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Seth.
And I'm Chris.
And today we have a special guest host on with us, Stu Burns, vampire hunter, vampire folklore expert. Any other descriptive terms I should be employing there, Stu?
I'm also the municipal liaison for National Novel Writing Month in the Omaha region, so I got that going for me, which is nice.
Nice. All right. Well, cool.
Also author, correct?
What's that?
Also author, correct?
Author.
I've written more. I've published in several academic journals. Yeah, I haven't published a book yet, so I'm not sure that counts me as an author or not.
All right.
I would say so. You're right,
Yeah.
sir.
I
We'll
tell
count
people I'm an author and I haven't published anything.
But he has written a book, and I read it, and it's fun. You should give it to Stu to read. He might enjoy it.
Yeah, you might. For the last year or 2 years, I haven't written much of goddamn anything.
You gonna do Nano this year, Seth?
I have a book in mind for Nano, so I want to do it this year. It just kind of depends. I think a large amount of it now depends on whether or not I can, I feel comfortable writing in groups.
And for our listeners, what's Nano?
NaNoWriMo is abbreviation for National Novel Writing Month. The idea is on midnight on October 31st, you start with a blank word processor document or piece of paper if you want to be old school. And by the end of the month, by midnight November 30th, you've got 50,000 words. So The idea is you don't have time to revise. You don't have time to really second guess yourself. You just have to do what Ernest Hemingway said, just open a Word document and bleed.
I thought it was open a bottle, open a Word document, and bleed for Hemingway.
Sometimes that doesn't hurt. Who was it that said, write your first draft drunk, and do your revision sober, something like that.
I have definitely heard that. But yeah, National Novel Writing Month happens in November. And I started doing that, I want to say somewhere around 10 years ago. I have succeeded, I think, 3 times.
Well,
or one, gotten the full 50,000 words. But
and then do you submit them to any group, and do they review them and then come out with ones that they think are the top ones?
Not really. It's just an exercise. You're kind of on your honor.
Okay.
If you go to the website, NaNoWriMo.org, they have a word counter out there, and it's sort of a validator. It's sort of just for your own personal satisfaction of doing it. Several published novels have come out of Nano. Like Water for Elephants was probably the most successful. There have been I should have this list, readily at hand, of course, given who I am, but of course I don't, because I'm woefully unprepared as always. But it's more of an exercise. I know people, in fact, most of the people I know, they'll write their novel and they might not, if they're not the narcissistic type, or I shouldn't say that, but if they don't like to share their work, they might just keep it to themselves. It just might just be for personal satisfaction. It might be for a novel they're going to try to publish sometime. There are any number of uses for it. If you're in the Omaha area on Halloween, from open to close, I will be in Panera Bread handing out care packages for folks who want to do National Novel Writing Month. Just with some.
Which Panera Bread?
Yeah.
At 78th and Dodge, the Central Omaha.
Okay, great.
In a normal year, we'd have several events in person where we get together and just for fellowship, and we'd have contests. See, okay, for 20 minutes, I'm going to time you guys, see how much you can write. Whoever writes the most words gets a Reese's peanut butter cup or something like that, or book or whatever prizes we got. Because of the lingering pandemic, the central office made the decision not to do that this year. So we're playing it safe. We're not doing it. But last year I did this, and this year I'm going to do this too. Normally I do this during a kickoff event where I just hand out these care packages and then keep handing them out during the month. And this year on Halloween, if you're in the area and you want to do Nano, stop by Panera, and I got some stuff for you.
So before we forget, what is the organization that is being awesome and supporting this? And more importantly than that, will you be dressed as a vampire hunter as you're handing out the care packages on Halloween?
I will have the hat on.
Yes. Okay.
Let's put it that way. Or we'll be nearby. The organization is NaNoWriMo.org. For a few years, it was called the Office of Letters and Light, and then they realized everyone just calls you NaNoWriMo, so you may as well go with it. So
on the other hand, the Office of Letters and Light just sounds good.
It does. I like that.
It does. I like that actually.
It does sound good.
But yeah, NaNoWriMo.org is much better for your SEO.
Right. Well, now let me ask this quick question, not to labor on this too much, but when you and Seth, who have done this before, go into this on October 31st, do you go in already with an idea as to what you want to do?
That's a really good question, and everyone's approach varies. It's very much a continuum between what we call planners, which is self-explanatory, and pantsers, meaning people who are writing literally by the seat of their pants. I've known people who go in and say, I don't know what I'm going to write about today. And those people often they finish, often they don't too, but it's just it's just go by the seat of your pants and see what comes out, and you can get some marvelous stuff. That's one of the things that goes in the care package too. I've got some story prompts or some not even story prompts, but like little areas like, okay, if you're stuck, what do you do now? The great mystery writer, the guy who wrote the Philip Marlowe books, he had his philosophy was, anytime that I get stuck and don't know what I'm going to do, I have someone come through the door with a gun.
Nice.
And if you read the Big Sleep, you can tell just exactly when he got stuck. Because I mean, it's all, when you know he's doing it, it's hilarious because people just keep coming through the door with guns.
Just to note, he has someone come through the door in the story with a gun, not someone like his wife coming through the door with a gun going, right.
Oh, okay. That was my thinking. I was thinking
that would be your thinking, Bill.
He had somebody, a friend or relative or wife or whatever, come through the door with a gun to scare the shit out of him, and that got his juices flowing. So thanks for the clarification. I was in my mind thinking, okay, so now I've got to get Jenna to occasionally that month burst through my front door with knives to scare me.
Or a spear. I have a spear.
Or a spear.
Wait,
to prompt me, goad me.
Wait, you've gotten her to stop doing that?
It's an action of affection, Seth. You know this by now. How many times have I burst through your door with swords and knives? It's fine.
Yeah. One of the classics is ninjas break into the room. It's called suddenly ninjas. And it just happened. And as you probably would expect, most of the people who do this are writing are using genre, or writing in genre fiction. Either science fiction, fantasy, some horror folk. But there are people who write religious fiction. There are people who do memoir. There are people who do long form poetry. Initially, when this thing started out, people were a little more strict about what defined a novel. Now their definition is just extended to, if you think it's a novel, you look at yourself in the mirror and say this is a novel, then it's a novel. And so go for it.
I mean, I can see how after 50 Shades of Grey, there would be that resignation. Fan fiction that became a novel.
Yeah.
I mean, the key is you're not writing good stuff. I mean, you might be, but you're just writing stuff. You're getting that getting that first draft out. And after that first draft is done, you can then make that into a better book. And obviously the 50 Shades of Grey lady skipped that step. But that's he made a whole bunch of money, so who am I to?
Yeah, that's what Ernest Hemingway said. The first draft of everything is shit, and there's something to that. I mean, you write your first draft and then you polish from there on. Well, Neil Gaiman had an even better one. If you've seen, how incredibly his novels are plotted, but he said revision is the process of making everything that you made up on the way look like you intended to do that. And that's part of the process for a lot of folks.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right,
So
we'll include a link to the website in our description when we post the video out there, so people can find you easily. And do they need to, when they go out there, put create an account? Is that how they upload their stuff?
Yes, sir. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, and there's a chat board on the for the Omaha region. There's a number of forums, but there's a forum just for the Omaha region specifically. If you want to interact with your people who are local, we have a Facebook group called The Nest.
Okay.
Which is just our local group. The Nest is it's a long running kind of stupid inside joke because our group was called the Omaha Writers League, which shortens to Owls. We're the Owl. So we do a lot of owl related stuff. You'll come in, you'll see like an owl picture on the wall, or we in the care package every year we include a muse of some sort. And one year, someone's teenager spent the entire year crocheting little crocheted owls, which I might get actually, later on in the podcast or so inclined. In a number of things that we've done. That I'm going to say that the muse for this year will be the most helpful muse that we've ever had.
All right.
And I'm just going to leave it at that because it's a surprise.
Okay.
So,
sounds good.
Speaking of before we get to Nano, though, we're going into October and there's some exciting local events coming like Grand Con and the haunted house scene and all sorts of wonderful other seasonal excitement. And Seth, Bill, you guys are going to Grand Con. You want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. Seth, why don't you go ahead and kick it off? Grand Con is next weekend. So it's October. What is next weekend? The 2nd?
Yeah. Well, when this episode airs, it will be this weekend. So
good point.
You've got new plans now for this weekend, everyone. So
yeah,
just jump in your car and head west.
Show your nerd support for your local creators and fellow nerds.
So
Suit up.
Grand Con is in Grand Island for our non-Nebraska natives. Grand Island is a city out here, kind of an island, kind of. It's in Nebraska. It's still flat plains, but it's in between two rivers. So yeah, it is. Where's their info? So the problem is they don't have an actual page. They've got a they've got a Facebook page, which I will include a link in the description for.
It's just kind of an opportunity to get out and mingle with local people that are active in science fiction, fantasy, horror. And
there will be an RPG presence as well.
Yep.
Courtesy of Go RPGs with Benito Garcia.
Yep.
He will be running a one-shot live play in the theater that is associated with this event.
Yep. And are you playing in that, Seth?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you playing as?
I don't know for sure yet. Like I've got a couple really good character ideas, but we're doing our session 0 tonight, and it kind of depends on what everyone else is playing.
Is that your excuse for procrastination, Seth?
No, I've got a character kind of drawn up, but it's if the party needs a cleric, I can also roll up a cleric. If we've got a lot of magic users, the character I have in mind is a warlock, so I can bring in Ogrim. I'm very flexible when it comes to D&D. So when
Okay.
I say I don't know what I'm doing, it's just because it might depend on what everyone else wants to do.
Okay.
Yeah, Benito's asked me to join in as well. So
Yeah, are you bringing Torin?
I don't know. I could. I also have another character, Illimir Vanquin, who's a paladin that I might want to play. So I played him once in another, one episode game run by Katie Otten, who's been on our show before. So, and he's kind of a fun character. I kind of like to play him a little bit more. So maybe I'll bring him in. We'll have to see.
So
So-
for people that haven't been to the con, what can they expect out of this con in Grand Island? It's only a couple hours away, so it's a quick drive from Omaha. What's it like?
I actually don't know. I've never been
Oh,
there.
okay.
Before.
Yeah, this will be our first
So-
appearance there. So we're going to
Good deal.
check it out. And
So-
then, of course, we'll review it on a future
Yeah, I'm
episode.
thinking they'll have some panels. There's obviously going to be some events. Another one of we have several members of our podcasting network doing various things.
Will you
Synergy
do a
Nation
panel?
Network. What's that?
I haven't been invited to do any panels, but I'm going to see if there's anything that we might sit in on. Let's see.
I just didn't know if you were going to do any panels or presentations with the Sin Nation crowd or partners in crime. Loving partners in crime.
I offered, but no one took me up on that.
No.
That's fine. That's fine. My feelings aren't hurt at all.
Well, and it might be a more of a last minute thing as we get there, find out what's going on. We might be involved in other nefarious activities. So
I'll have to check and see what exactly I have going on that weekend, but it's piqued my interest enough that and it's only a couple hours away. I might want to go.
Hey,
I
if
know.
you-
That's what I'm saying. You should just guys had do a nerd trip. I
yeah,
mean,
Seth and I are
obviously-
carpooling up there. So Chris, if you want to carpool with us, you're welcome.
Yeah, I'll
I'll
see.
s-
I gotta see if I can drag Gina out there. I think she'd be interested a lot
Okay.
in this. So
Yeah, that'd be cool. Be
I
great.
mean, if you can't interest Gina, I've got a extra space in my room since Katie's not going.
Okay. I will plug because I do know one of the vendors who's going to be there, and I've been seeing her work on Facebook. Misty, why is her last name leaving me? Because I'm a terrible friend. Obviously, she's a cosplayer. She played Pam in our group cosplay for Archer, and she's done some great DC Bombshell work. So if you all are out there, you should stop by Misty Bartholomew's table. I don't know what her name will be, but her location. But she's been doing some really fun stuff with her 3D printer, glass etcher. She's been making some neat boxes and journals, like nerd themed stuff. So you might want to check her out.
All right.
So the actual information is it's going to be the con itself is October 2nd through the 3rd at Fauner Park. And I would give you more information on Fauner Park if I had ever been there once in my life before.
Fauner Park is a venerable horse racing
Yeah.
park. No, I've been there. It'll be a good facility for you.
Good.
awesome.
I was actually about to ask you for more details, Stu, because I know that you and Nebraska tourism are near and dear friends.
Yeah, I think that might even be. I don't want to say this because I'm probably making myself a liar, but I think that's even been really incorporated into the Nebraska State Fair omnibus out there, because that's Grand Island's claim to fame these days. So no, Grand Island has a number of fun dining options. It's a great drive. It's too bad this isn't in March, because you could really see something out there. But
Ooh, what can you see out there?
well, in March in Nebraska, I hate to digress because I'm bringing all my stupid stuff into this, but in Nebraska, there are two major mass wildlife migrations left on the planet.
Oh,
And one of them is the wildebeest in Tanzania and Kenya that go up the eastern rim of Africa every year. The other is the sandhill crane migration,
oh,
Yep.
where you
Okay.
see these birds. Probably they're getting to be about 700,000 of them coming up from the southern part of North America. You have Mexico and the American Southwest.
yeah.
And in mid-March, they all just they basically stop here.
Huh.
And they eat as much waste corn and whatever they can find as they can for a couple of weeks, for a few weeks, and then they head parts north.
So those are not small birds, and I cannot imagine the mess that 700,000 cranes would
Angel
leave
cranes.
on your car as they fly over.
I've never seen that be a problem, honestly.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's interesting you mentioned that. I've never heard anybody really gripe about that. There is,
Such
if you've ever seen
respect for
Alfred
birds.
Hitchcock's The Birds, because they have, with the way the cranes work, it's interesting. They have a security system where at night, they all just sit down in the Platte River. And they sit down en masse. There's a huge number of them. So that way, if there was a bobcat or something tries to tries to come after the cranes, they hear the splash and they're gone.
Wow.
It's unusual that you grew up your whole life wanting to see these bald eagles and to see how majestic the birds are. But if you see a bald eagle around the cranes, it's like, oh crud, because that means the cranes are going to take off because bald eagles predate cranes. So yeah, I've had people who were really waiting to get a great shot when the light was just right, and this bald eagle comes flying over, the cranes all take off, these guys lose their shot. So,
Oh. So fun. I mean, there is obviously, I think if anything, due to our proximity to meat, because Omaha steaks, just steak in general is well known in Nebraska. We have really good food in a lot of unexpected places around Nebraska. And like you said, I've heard the same thing about Grand Island, is that if you take a minute and look around, you can find some interesting eats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, out by Fauner, there's a restaurant called Sin City that I highly recommend.
Nice.
All right.
So another event other than Grand Con coming in November is going to be the Mid-America Gamers Expo. Council Bluffs is hosting its first ever 3-day Gamers Expo at the Mid-America Center. I think you can sign up to do single or teams events, and there's going to be some sponsors and booths and everything like that. So if you're in the middle of writing your novel in November and you need a mental break or a social break, you might want to go check that out. I think they're trying to hype it up to maybe do something more, something of note to the region in terms of gaming, because they're going to feature an industry expo, LAN party, championship tournament, some Q&A sessions with well-known gamers and steamers. So just getting ready for maybe some, who knows, they even might be able to score some industry intel on new releases for the holidays. So might be worth checking out.
So,
Yeah, that's one thing I'll say that we've had a hard time out here in the Midwest getting to kind of take off, are these expos that do the LAN parties and things like that. You usually end up with some smaller companies that'll do it, kind of small ones. So I'm kind of excited to see how this one plays out.
Which is shocking to me, because it's the Midwest. Gaming, I feel like, is a regional pastime, especially in winters.
well,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when people think Nebraska, they think corn.
They do. There's a lot
football.
more out here than that, and yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm really interested. I won't be making it to this myself. I'm still a little weary of going to some of these larger kind of group events at this time, but I'm really curious to see what coverage looks like for this, and how many people end up showing up and what the takeaway is. So I've followed some larger LAN events and stuff, but they usually happen in coastal areas, your Florida, your Californias or something like that, and not traditionally here in the Midwest. So I hope it goes well.
Me too. I really do, because I mean, it's I don't know one person who either they don't game or their partner doesn't game.
Mm.
And I'm talking about even adults into their 40s and 50s and 60s. It's a huge pastime here, and it kind of goes unacknowledged, I think, by, it seems like it's not as acknowledged by the industry as it could be. Like, they could probably do a lot more with events like this.
Well,
I agree.
I think it might be that we've got a low population in the area, whereas if they hold the big conferences out on either coast, they've got a lot more people they can just draw in just like immediately in the area.
That's
But
fair.
we can I think Omaha and Lincoln can handle it. We've got We do the College World Series, and
yeah, I think and there's been a push for that. Not to stray too far away from that, but we've been vying to try and have some of these larger events here. We've proven it with the College World Series, to your point. We've built a couple new stadiums for sports. Go Team Go. You know, we've done a lot of these things to kind of grow it, and we still haven't really picked up, I guess, on the convention side of things. And we have the space here, we have the facilities, we have the parking. Hey, if you guys hate doing these large events on the coast, it's not an issue out here. It's simple to get to where you need to go. And traffic for the most part isn't horrible. It'll take you 15-20 minutes to get wherever you need to go at best. So it's definitely something we'd like to see more of out here, and we definitely have the people for it. We cram, you know, we have no issues doing it on college sports days, and we cram 90,000 people in this stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska almost every week. So it's just, you know, it is what it is. So again, it's these cons, I think, between Council Bluffs, the Mid-America Center over there, and everything over here in Omaha and Lincoln, it'll be awesome. We have plenty of space. We have a lot of opportunities to do it. So
Definitely.
yeah, we've got there's a PAX East and a PAX West. There needs to be a PAX Center.
yes, PAX Central, and we're ready for it.
Well, and I
So-
think there's a lot of pent up demand for that kind of thing here too, because
Mhm.
there isn't a lot of those types of options here in the center of the country. So
Well, we'll see if that changes. We've got, I'm sorry, Jenna. We've got it's slow. It's a slow change, right? We're getting large tech companies out here. They're building their data centers out here. Again, we have the space, we have the room. We're getting big tech companies out here. We've got Toast, which is a reseller type company, a point of payment system.
He beat me to the joke.
Yeah.
We've got Toast, which
We've
is
got
bread, toast,
Yep.
warm
Yep.
bread with butter.
So yeah, we've got some things out
Yay,
here, and it's
tough.
just a slow burn, I guess. But we're getting there, and we just need a couple more people to jump in, I think, and help bring that traffic here to Omaha.
Yeah, Jenna.
So those who can't make it to Grand Con because maybe it's too much of a drive or life, and you're going to stay in the Omaha area, this coming weekend too, October 2nd through October 3rd, is Mystic Fest, which Stu probably is familiar with that as well. In terms of, it's the largest metaphysical, I guess, conference in the weekend in the region. So, you have tarot readers, aura readers, vendors. You can go have a picture taken and they see your aura. Like, there's a lot of different things that go on there. So if you are interested in the metaphysical side, want to maybe go talk to a reader or something like that, that event is going to be going on as well at the Mid-America Center.
Okay.
I think I've gone twice. It's been a minute. Just because, the COVID. Right. I think we all know by now default, if it's been a minute since you've gone to something, it's COVID. But I found it really interesting to just kind of take a moment, explore some other perspectives on different ideas, even if you're a critic of kind of a lot of that culture, in terms of maybe you don't believe that people can read auras, or because I think there will be people who do ghost hunting, that type of thing as well, and talk about that. It's at least worth go asking those questions to the people on the other side, and maybe just broaden your horizons.
Cool.
Getting back to venues, I'm just going to ask you guys. I mean, because there are so many in Omaha now. There's the venue down by UNO now. There's the Ralston Arena, which has had trouble getting stuff. I mean, have conventions been using those spaces? Like the CHI Health Center and the Baxter Arena and the Ralston Arena. Has that market been tapped at all, or that resource been tapped?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
No,
CHI is super expensive. I from what I understand. So like from what I've heard, it's the price point.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's the largest thing, even for smaller events. That's what it comes down to. We're charging too much for what we have out here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's this disconnect, I think, between the people running out the space that frankly sits idle
Mhm.
versus the people that want to get into it. They need to find a way to kind of meet in the middle there to get that attraction, and that money will come later with more people coming in to do events and things like that. So I think that does harm the growth here. And really what you want is you want more people coming to your facilities. Get your money off of giving them food or whatever, or charging for parking, which CHI Health Center has done a really great job about doing, unfortunately. But yeah, there's ways to make up your money, but it shouldn't be charging so much that you can't get people in to do events. So
No, and I think, and it's to me, it's kind of been a shocker how the fact that Nebraska cons, with the
Mhm.
name in Nebraska, have been going to Council Bluffs to the Mid America Center.
Yep.
Why it's not been a wake up call to other facilities here in the city.
yeah, and if they're doing it there, if they're not doing it there, they're trying to find an inexpensive hotel or something like that to use.
Right.
And that's not here, make no mistake, we have the for lack of a better way to phrase it, the state of the art facilities here to absolutely host wonderful cons at a large scale. We absolutely have facilities that can match those out there on the coast, and we keep building more. For some reason, thinking that somehow attracts more talent, and really, what it is, what we see at our level is complaints about pricing, or like Anime Nebraska on trying to find a new place to host their con or whatever. It comes down to price. They're like, look, we can't afford going to CHI Health or whatever if they're going to charge us, to throw a number out there, I don't know, $50,000 a day or something like that to host a con. You lose your money in that. So
Yeah. You
yeah,
have to be able to
the
make a
city needs to
profit,
figure it
or
out.
you
Yeah,
won't
you
be
have to be able to
back.
make a profit. It's a business.
Or at least
at the
break
end of the day.
even.
Right.
Yeah, or at least break even. So otherwise, it's not worth it. So that's a struggle that we deal with here. The city needs to figure that out, but we absolutely have the facilities. We've built.
Yeah, I know that the Ralston Arena has been hurting so much lately. I think they'd be to the point now where it's like, you know what, we'll cut the rates to get people in the door, but if you're saying that's not been the experience, that's very regrettable.
Yep.
It's too bad because Ralston is a beautiful location. It's really central, lots of parking, lots of good food in the area. There's hotels right there. Like they could really, if they really started reconsidering quantity over the pricing for
Yep.
getting events in their location, it would help them, only help themselves.
Yeah,
fill
I
the
mean, if they could
seats.
have that thing full year round, isn't that better than making
Yes.
or charging? I mean,
Yeah, they're so concerned. They're charging it as in they have to make up as much money as they can in as few events as possible, and that's not going to work. It's just not. So
One final event before we sign off is NewCon is also, like, I don't know why everything's piled on for this first weekend of October, but it's the more established gaming convention here in Omaha. It's been here several years. It's an all volunteer organization dedicated to promoting the positive educational, social, and entertainment aspects in all types of gaming hobbies. So it's more family oriented, I think, than just like for like all ages versus maybe the Mid America Gaming Convention might be for like the real extremists who love gaming. And so they're going to have vendors, sellers of fantasy and game related merchandise. They're going to welcome games in development, playtesting, or things you want to show off to people. So yeah, there's another option if you all are looking for some local nerdy excitement.
Sounds great.
oh, what about you? Had another thing to talk about though, Jenna, the paranormal
Paranormal
circus.
Yes, unfortunately, they are out of town now, but they might be. So they came from North. Let me see, because they might still be in Nebraska. And if you like or have ever been curious about Cirque du Soleil, or however you say that, the Vegas show where it's like gymnastics and fantasy and all sorts of cool thing and music, but you also love the paranormal and a little bit of horror, I would highly recommend it. It's adults only, like 18 and up. That's it. It's anyone under 17 requires a parent or guardian. They do not allow anyone under 13. And generally you have to be over 21 to even get tickets. So because it It is risque. It is a little like could be scary, a little bit gory wise, but it's a lot of fun because you've got these guys who work the bars that were, like zombies. You have a vampire magician who makes these amazing looking women appear out of nowhere.
Huh.
There, and then all through it, there's like this corresponding. You have shown up to this underworld castle with freakish entities that you are going to have to interact with, and it's out of Italy. And it's so funny because some of them, like the vendors and stuff, will approach you, and you're just like, "Oh my God, there's the Italian," because it's such a charming accent, and it's so reasonably priced. Like we got basic seating was $30. We got the VIP seatings for an extra $5, which is $35.
Huh.
So actually, this weekend, so you've got one night left, Grand Island. Unfortunately, by the time this airs, you won't know this, but they're going next into Topeka, Kansas, Springfield, Missouri, Aurora, Illinois. But they were either in Columbus or Norfolk, and that's how we heard about it because we had family members who saw the tents and said, "You need to go see these. It looks awesome." So, and I've seen this troupe come through Omaha before with different themes. So if you missed it this time around and you can't make it to Topeka, then I would say definitely mark your calendars and keep an eye out for this troupe to maybe come through at a different time of year.
Sounds good. All right. Well, on that note, I think we'll go ahead and end it for this show. I want to thank everybody for listening, and also thanks to Stu for sitting in on the show. Stu will be back on our next episode where we're going to be talking about a director of is Italian director of horror
Speaking
films.
of Italians.
Yeah. And so we'll be going into some in-depth information on that. Stu's been doing a little bit of research on that, so should be pretty interesting. And then be sure to check out our partner podcast shows. You can find us all on synergynation.net. And of course, you can find all of our previous shows if you go out to galacticdriftwood.space, look at some of our other shows where we've talked about a lot of different things. And then wasn't there a question we had a listener question?
There's a listener question. I do not have your first name, but this is from a listener whose last name is Johns. This is the first question that's come to us through the Synergy Nation network. So if you've got questions that you want answered, ask them there. Johns asks, are you happy with the way that Loki has affected the entire MCU multiverse? Other than the new Spider-Man movie, what else do you think could change in the future? Any villains you want to see brought back? Love the show. Thank you.
Yay. We
Yes,
love you.
thank you.
Thanks for listening.
I love Loki. I think he's been a great addition. I love the Loki show. And I can't wait for the next season of that to come out. I think it's just been fantastic. And the actor that's playing that character, spot on.
Well, specifically, the question is about how it affected the MCU multiverse.
Okay.
So we know about Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, and What If. So I guess what other things are you thinking that the multiverse could entail now? And are there villains that are coming back that you might or could come back now that they might be pop in from an alternate reality? Like, could Thanos come back in with the Infinity Stones?
Yeah,
Go for round two.
So I am a fan of what Loki has opened up in terms of the multiverse. And I think it opens up this door for us to kind of use our imaginations, and anything can happen. And what I do hope is maybe fan feedback is taken seriously into kind of driving what the narrative will be going forward. So if fans want to see a particular villain, they could write that in, because it's this multiverse world. Anything can happen. Anybody that they've killed off that people really wanted to see come back, you could have that happen. Let's bring Coulson back, right?
Yeah.
think
So
Coulson's still alive.
yes, but really,
Yeah.
I don't think the TV series counts. So
yeah, yeah, with the TV series, I'm kind of a mixed bag on that with what happened on that. But I mean, actually bring him back to like the big screen.
Yeah.
You can do that. There's no reason not to. So I'm a fan for that. And as far as villains, I don't have any in particular in mind. I maybe oh my gosh, I forgot the reptile.
The
Oh my
lizard?
gosh. The lizard. Yes,
Croc
thank you.
from
The
Spider-Man.
lizard. Yeah, I think it's just the lizard.
Yeah.
I'd like to see something done with that. I'm not sure how they'd make that work, but again, it's the multiverse. You can do whatever you want.
Well, we're gonna see some of the old Spider-Man villains in No Way Home.
Yep.
Including Doc Ock and Green Goblin.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Both wonderfully played in their original movies. Stu, it looked like you had something.
Yeah, you look excited.
Yeah, I did. Depending on what direction the Marvel multiverse goes. I mean, because I'm not as engaged with it as some folks are. I like that they've taken the TV route where you can go a little more low impact. So if you don't like something, it's a little easier to disregard than a film with. It's such a major production. But right after Endgame came out, some friends and I were taking a road trip and we were brainstorming who's going to be the next Thanos, who's going to be the next big
bad.
Okay.
Yep. Overarching grand villain. And the one guy who, and he's probably right, and especially from what I've heard, is that the new guy's going to be with the whole multiverse and time travel angle is going to be Kang the Conqueror. That didn't resonate as much with me because I've never thought of Kang as that and I've never thought of him as having like the Thanos type of gravity. I've never thought of him as being just that intriguing of a character, that looming of a character as Thanos was. I mean, when I got into comics, Thanos was dead, and it didn't matter. There kept being stories about Thanos even though he was dead. It was Thanos' ship is doing something, Thanos' computer is doing something. But the character I was thinking might have a future as a Marvel big bad because their character fits it would be the High Evolutionary. If any of you are familiar with that character.
I'm not. No.
Passingly.
Yeah, passingly too, which is part of the intrigue. But he's just started as a geneticist back around the time of Mendel, and his whole idea is genetically advancing whoever, whatever. I could see an amazing array of possibilities of having that guy as your big bad out there. Really, someone who really wants to change the universe.
Okay.
In a virtual way.
Yeah, he is responsible for creating Wanda and Pietro Maximoff's cow caretaker when they were babies.
Cow caretaker.
Yes, I can't remember the name, but they were actually briefly referenced in WandaVision.
Oh, okay. I haven't.
They had a little like kind of throwaway in one of the commercials.
I'm excited for the multiverse because it's got to be mutants, and we already know Deadpool's being brought into the MCU at the R-rated level, which is important. The only thing I'm starting, and in terms of big bads, World Eater, Galactus would be great. I mean, but he's also been done in the Fantastic Four.
Galactus wasn't done well.
No, I know, but so
he was this weird cosmic cloud kind of thing. I want to see a double planet sized guy dressed in purple armor come and take a bite out of the earth.
But is that too much then? Because what the MCU has done very well, I think, up to this point is they push the boundary of believability, but they haven't lost you in the film yet, So I get nervous about two things with the multiverse. They lose track of the cohesive narrative that they've developed in all the movies so far. Hope to God that doesn't happen, because the minute they lose that cohesiveness and their narrative across all of these different formats, it's going to start to be disappointing. And then I hope that with whatever big bad they bring in, they don't lose us with that boundary of now you're out of the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like it's too much. It's too crazy. And I think a good example of them taking something that's a crazy concept and doing it well was Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with the planet that was a character.
Yeah.
You know, they did that very well.
They've been doing really well at taking some of Marvel's strange ideas and bringing them to the big screen. So I'm not so worried about that.
As long as they leave Kevin in control. You don't touch Kevin, Disney.
Don't
You
give
let
him
him
too
do
much
his thing.
work either. I mean, don't burn him out. But the big bad I'm looking forward to with the multiverse, Doctor Doom. Because we're gonna be getting another Fantastic Four. It's confirmed, and with Fantastic Four becomes Doctor Doom, Victor Von Doom.
I think the Eternals is going to be the linchpin, like what the Eternals bring in with that movie. So I'm excited for it, not only because the cast is amazing and everything looks amazing, but just how they're expanding the universe at this point even more. And so they're bringing in characters that are at a level that, you know, make Thanos seem like nothing. So where do we go from here? So that there's going to be a lot, I believe, to be revealed in that.
All right, Bill, you're muted. You're still muted.
Sorry.
This is good radio.
I had a barking dog in the background. Well, cool. Well, thanks again to Mr. Johns for the question. We
Yes, great
appreciate
question.
that. Yep.
Hey, it could be a
Send us
Miss
more.
Johns, sir.
It could be Ms. Johns as well. So thank you, whichever you are, or if you're both, that's thank you as well. So
Gender neutral they.
what's that?
Gender neutral they.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. We will catch you again next week. And as I mentioned before, Stu will be back on talking about an interesting horror director. So take care. We will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.